So it was time. Time for the last mission. A mission that would forever scar her. Every inch of Linnet's skin crawled as she waited in the teleportation room. Elvinia had told her she would meet Linnet there, that she needed to grab some last-minute provisions from her lab. Linnet stood by the doorway of the entrance, and she kept her eyes focused on the ground. When Nixie and Alfreda walked into the room, they stopped and beheld her for a moment. Their faces were locked in sullen expressions, with gaunt eyes and deeply pronounced frowns. Nixie walked up closer to her and placed her hand on Linnet's shoulder.
Hey, it's gonna be okay. I don't know how it will, but it will work out in the end. We are not to blame here.
How can you say that? Is that how you honestly feel?
Well,
We're just as much to blame as America. We're helping with this great evil, and it's something we're all going to have to live with.
Yes, this is something we're all going to have to live with. Unfortunately, it's not something we can change. We're stuck with doing it. If any of us had any actual choice in the matter, we wouldn't be doing this.
I know we're all good people in our hearts. But this whole situation really sucks.
it really does.
Agreed. Are you going to be okay, though?
No, I'm not okay, but we'll get through this. I will get through this. But after...
Linnet turned her attention down the hallway, and to her relief, they were still alone.
I'm going to quit. Surely America won't ruin my life if I quit after this monstrosity of a mission, right?
We can only hope. I'm glad you're not quitting now. I would hate to see what she would do to you had you just left.
I couldn't let you all face this alone. It's like I told Elvinia. We all started this experience together, and I'm going to see it through with you.
It's true. She really did say that.
Elvinia walked up to the group, and she carried a staff with a blue orb as its headpiece, a pair of glasses with star-shaped lenses, and a large amulet hanging around her neck. She was also wearing an ornate belt buckle.
You look, prepared.
Yeah, well, last time there were 4 of them, and if all 4 came to our location, then I'm going to have to be ready while Linnet belts out a badass song.
I'll do my best.
And that's all I'm asking for.
All eyes turned to the entourage of 5 people walking down the hallway toward them. Marika strutted at the front of the group, with the head of R&D at her heels. The remainder of R&D slinked in their wake. Marika didn't stop where Linnet and the others stood, but led the group to the teleporter pads.
Come on, ladies. Let's get this glorious task started, shall we? Just to recap, Team 3 consists of myself and the bulk of R&D. Team 2 is Nixie and Alfreda, and the last team, Team 1, is Linnet and Elvinia. No one had better mess this up, otherwise I'm going to be very displeased. We'll meet back here before I set off the grand finale of this out-of-nowhere city.
Marika stepped on the teleporter pad, took a flourishing dramatic pose, and then disappeared into a blinding nimbus of light. The rest of R&D disappeared seconds after they stepped onto the pads. Alfreda turns to the others.
No matter how this turns out, I am honored to have served with you all. And while I am sad to hear that you're going to be leaving us, I know it's probably what's best for you. Let's finish off this last mission as a team, shall we?
As a team.
Oh, I'm so lucky that I got a chance to meet you all. Thank you all for your patience and your caring.
I guess you all are pretty cool.
Alfreda placed her hand outward, with her palm down and her fingers extended. A second passed, and then she gazed into the others' eyes for mere seconds as well. Linnet placed her hand on Alfreda's, and then Nixie placed it on hers. Elvinia rested her hand on top. They stood like that for a few long moments, before Nixie and Alfreda took their hands back. Elvinia and Linnet did the same. Just as Alfreda and Nixie got to the teleporter pads, Nixie turned back toward Linnet and Elvinia.
You two had both better come back alive.
Agreed.
Oh, you too! And if you run into the Sparkle Guardians, give them hell!
Same to you.
Oh, we will.
Alfreda and Nixie faded into brilliant columns of light. Elvinia and Linnet took their places on the paths next.
Are you ready?
As ready as I can be. Are you ready?
Elvinia simply nodded, and then an alabaster field of light swallowed Linnet.
This is not going according to plan.
Yeah, that was my fault. I shouldn't have missed that guy. Sorry.
Elvinia pointed her staff towards some of the humans hiding behind the corner. Every now and then, they'd peek around to shoot their guns, but they stared in fright as the blue orb at the end of Elvinia's staff pulsated brightly. A ball of similar-colored energy blasted out toward the floor where the armed humans stood. As soon as the ball struck the ground, wild tentacles of Azure energy emerged out like an upside-down octopus, and they slapped at the humans. When one of the energy tendrils hit, the person would be engulfed in light blue energy. They fell unconscious moments later. Linnet and Elvinia had arrived about 15 minutes ago, and everything was going well, until they came upon a large group of the security guards who were throwing a retirement party for someone named Carl. Linnet had sung one of her songs and hypnotized more than half of them, while Elvinia blasted energy attacks with her staff and belt buckle. Too bad one of the human security guards, the eldest of the bunch, was a little more spry than his younger co-workers. He rolled away from the attacks and then ran down the hallway. Linnet and Elvinia chased after, but not before being pinned down by gunfire. When the last human fell to Elvinia's unique energy attack, she started running. Elvinia bled from a small wound in her arm, caused by a stray bullet. Linnet sang as they ran. Green flowing notes danced out past her lips, and they collided into the wound. When they did, they splashed into a liquid that closed the injury.
Thanks a lot. I think it's also safe to say we might be the ones who attract you-know-who.
Alfreda has an army of clay soldiers, and Marika is really violent. Do you really think so?
We're bound to fight him soon. Maybe if we're lucky, we can attach the artifact and be gone before they get here.
Elvinia and Linnet ran down the hallway and up a stairwell toward an office with a large metal door. It was locked, and a couple of humans stood inside, staring at the pair of them with concerned eyes. They were talking on the phone to someone. The guy who had been talking on the phone stopped talking and stared at Linnet. The others gaped too. She beckoned them to come with a finger, and one of them opened the door. As soon as it was open, Elvinia pointed her staff, and the orb lit up like a beacon. A blue ball shot out into the room, and the tentacle monster returned to touch the humans. Linnet moved in first, and Elvinia closed the door behind them.
How long do you think that door will hold the Sparkle Guardians?
Probably between 6 to 18 seconds. At least we can draw in their attention so the others can finish their missions. If they don't come for us, then we can get out of here and never mention to anyone that we kind of messed up.
Elvinia reached into her infinity bag and pulled out a large box-like artifact. The artifact had a bunch of engraved lines that crisscrossed the entire length of the box, making tiny geometric diamonds all over it. There was a single red button at the front center of the box. Elvinia placed the box on the main power console in the room, and then she pressed the red button. The box lifted an inch off of the surface of the console, and a brilliant bright green spike of energy jutted from the bottom of the box. It pierced the solid state of the console's surface, but it didn't affect its physical appearance. All of the crisscrosses began glowing green, and they hummed with consistent power. The red button sunk in and transformed into a glowing green glass indicator.
Well, the artifact is syncing up to the power mainframe. Once it glows gold, then we can leave.
How long is that going to last?
Before Elvinia had a chance to answer, a face appeared at the glass window of the metal door. Elvinia stared at it, and so Linnet turned her attention to it as well. Sparkle Guardian Poseidon glared at them. His teeth were bared.
They're already inside! And they've done something to the console.
Sparkle Guardian Zeus peeked inside, followed by the new female guardian. And lastly, Sparkle Guardian Hades.
What is that? It's glowing with magic.
It's nothing good, that's for sure. Whatever it is you're planning, you had better stop right now.
Oh yes, that's going to make them stop.
Both of you stop it. You two have been squabbling all day. This is not the time for it. Get back!
Linnet took in a deep breath and she started to sing. Elvinia's body became bathed in light, in the same manner it had during their last epic fight against the Sparkle Guardians. Elvinia pointed her staff toward the door and crouched down. There was only one entrance to the room. The door shook violently as zapping sounds of lightning and the boom of thunder rumbled, but it held. Cracks formed on the glass, but it was thicker than normal glass and didn't shatter. After the third lightning bolt, the sound of constant water streaming hit the windows, but they held against the water.
This isn't working. We have to reason with them.
Reason with them? That's stupid. They're Nymphians. They're the enemy.
I know that, but the singer is conflicted.
What does that even mean?
Sparkle Guardian Hades placed his face in the window, and he stared at Linnet.
You, singer! You and I have spoken before. I know you aren't a bad person. Not really. I don't know what you or your partner are trying to do, but I know it's evil. Please, you have to stop!
We can't stop! I'm so sorry, I don't want to blow up the city, but we have to!
There was a long and uncomfortable pause as Sparkle Guardian Hades' eyes opened wider.
Did she say blow up the city? They're trying to kill us!
Get out of the effing way! We have to get in there now!
Rather than move, Sparkle Guardian Hades remained where he stood, and he stared harder at the pair of them.
You're planning on killing innocents. Children are within the range of this plant. You can't!
I'm sorry! We have no choice!
How can you say that? You do have a choice. You Nymphians have done some messed up stuff in the past, but this is way too far. Why? Why do you have to kill us?
It's for Anam Energy. The energy your souls give off powers our world and our way of life. Anam Energy to us is like oil to you. And we're not doing this by choice, because our commander is making us do this.
Their commander? Oh, God. They're at the other reactors, too. They're going to kill everyone.
Please, don't do this. You've collected your energy in the past, and you didn't really hurt anyone. Not really. This new commander. What you're doing is wrong.
Don't you think we know that? But if we don't do this and finish this job, our careers and lives are finished.
So you're willing to sacrifice innocent lives for your own sakes?
Please move. I can talk to them. I can change their minds. I know I can.
Sparkle Guardian Hades stepped back. Elvinia cast a cautious eye toward Linnet, who beamed one back at her in kind. The newest guardian placed her face to the window. She looked awfully familiar. She couldn't place her exactly. A prodding insistence hooked at her.
Hi there. I'm a newly made Sparkle Guardian, and I'm imbued with the spirit of the goddess Demeter. You all the Nymphians kidnapped me for one of your schemes.
Linnet caught Elvinia's attention, and a greasy film had festered inside her stomach.
I was also your server at Anthony's.
Oh, that's where I recognize you from.
Yes, and I recognized you after I got my powers. I was your server for months, and I recognize you from the way you speak, the way your hair falls from your head, and the way you carry yourselves. You both have seen humans up close. and you know what you're doing is wrong. We're just like you. And all we want to do is live, love, and grow old. Please, don't enact this plan.
We don't want to kill you. I didn't start this career path to be a murderer.
If you activate that cube thing, then you will be a murderer. No matter what else you do in life, you'll be tainted by this atrocity.
Tears started rolling down Lynette's cheeks.
They're right. I don't want to do this, Elvinia. I don't want innocents to die.
We can't stop it. We've already implanted our artifact. I'm certain that the others have already activated theirs and started the sinking as well.
Is there anything we can do? I don't care if America ruins my future career. I can't be an accomplice to this genocide. I can't.
The only way we could even hope to stop this is to convince America not to press that button. And you know we can't convince her of that. She's the Grim Commander. The only way is to beat her. And we can't do it alone.
You won't be alone if we help you.
Sparkle Guardian Zeus's face was right beside Sparkle Guardian Demeter's.
What did you say?
Yeah, no kidding. What are you even talking about? We can't team up with them.
We have to do something! The Nymphian America is too strong for us Sparkle Guardians to handle. But maybe with them...
I'll be honest. Even with the 6 of us, I don't think we can take on America and the rest of R&D.
But maybe we could with Nixie and Alfreda!
Elvinia glanced back to Linnet before looking back to the Sparkle Guardians again. The cube artifact was 1/4 golden light, while the remaining portion was green.
There is no way that they would throw away their careers like that.
Maybe not throw away their careers, but this is not the company we signed up for. This is not the way Anam Energy Collection is supposed to go. The ethics policies were set in place for a reason.
Wait. You all have ethics policies. That's bullshit.
I highly doubt they're going to side with you. But screw it. I'm siding with you on this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Save it for later. If we open the door, do you promise to honor a brief truce? In order to save your city, we are going to have to work together.
The Sparkle Guardians looked at one another briefly, before all staring at Linnet and Elvinia.
We promise.
By the way, I would not recommend attacking or trying to tamper with the artifact. It is rigged to explode prematurely if it's tampered with. The only thing we can do is stop America.
So noted.
Linnet walked over to the door, unlatched it, and then opened it. Well, this was new, and definitely not where she thought she'd see herself when she woke up. Linnet had foreseen a doomy, gloomy, and foreboding trudge through the broken remains of her morals and sense of self-ethics. This escapade was something else entirely. While the obstacles set before her seemed more monstrous than before, at least she was doing the right thing. The Sparkle Guardians were fast, much faster than Elvinia and Linnet could run. When they sprinted forth, Linnet and Elvinia rode piggyback on the Sparkle Guardians. Linnet rode Poseidon, and Elvinia rode Hades. The situation was dire, but Elvinia grinned from ear to ear. Their destination was the reactor where Team 2 was set to activate their artifact. If they had a chance of defeating America, Linnet and Elvinia would need to somehow convince Nixie and Alfreda to turn their backs on their entire careers as well. That should be easy. No trouble at all. They sprinted down the back alleys and across the less busy streets to reach their destination. The second reactor was much larger than the one Elvinia and Linnet had been tasked with. Dozens of clay soldiers stood around the perimeter, gazing outward toward where Linnet and the others had come from. Linnet and Elvinia stopped in front of where the front lines of the clay soldiers stood. The soldiers charged when the Sparkle Guardians stopped behind them.
Wait! We have to talk to Alfreda!
To her surprise, the clay soldiers stopped, and then turned their attention to Linnet. Their etched faces were unreadable, as were their blank eyes. They had stopped, but their weapons were drawn.
We don't have a lot of time, but we need to talk to Nixie and Alfreda now. Please go fetch her for us. The Sparkle Guardians aren't our enemies at the moment.
A dozen clay soldiers shifted their attentions back to where the 4 Sparkle Guardians stood and leveled their weapons again. A couple moved to attack, and once more Linnet held her hands out widely.
Please, we can't afford to lose any of you for what we have to do.
One of the archer's soldiers ran into the facility, while the rest of the soldiers gathered around the entrance in a tight cluster. They all stared at the Sparkle Guardians.
How did you know that they would listen or communicate with Alfreda? Or even understand you?
I didn't know, but I hoped.
These clay soldiers are shit. We should just break through them.
If you really want to save your city, then you're going to not do that.
What? She said.
A few minutes passed, and Nixie and Alfreda exited the reactor with cautious eyes. As soon as they saw Linnet and Elvinia, they seemed to snarl at the Guardians who were within arm's reach.
Did you take them as mind slaves or something?
No, they're not. I'm afraid the truth is far more complicated.
Complicated? Oh, I think it's simple. You're betraying us. You wanted out so bad you'd turn on your own kind?
It's not like that at all. We aren't doing this by choice. Neither Linnet nor I can abide by genocide, so our company can get Anam Energy. We have to stop America.
Did you come here to stop us too? We've already activated the artifact and it's almost halfway done sinking.
Alfreda and Nixie held up their hands in defensive positions. And as soon as Alfreda went on the defensive, all of the soldiers raised their weapons at the ready as well.
You will find us difficult opponents.
Stop! We're not trying to fight you. We're trying to ask you for your help.
Our help? You mean you want us to become traitors too?
You can't honestly say you're fine with slaughtering the humans like this, can you?
Of course not. This is not how citadels are supposed to be run. We're supposed to be unseen and take little Anam, but America and the new board policies want quantity. What are we supposed to do? Say no?
If you let evil win, you are no better than they are. It has to start somewhere.
Shut it, Sparkle Dork. I'm not talking to you.
Sparkle Guardian Zeus started to say something else, but Sparkle Guardian Demeter placed a hand on their shoulder.
Alfreda, you are the best and most qualified person I know to lead us on this mission. You have the most experience of all of us, Sparkle Guardians included. You are a born leader, and if we're going to stop America and prevent this atrocity, we need you. And Nixie, you're powerful and lithe with your vape magic. With you, we can level the playing field and get closer to America. You know how to work the battlefield. Please, I know it's asking a lot.
I have worked for this company for 29 years, proving myself to be the best operative I can be. 29 years, and you're asking me to just throw it all away?
We are asking you to do the right thing. Killing humans is not the right way. You said yourself.
Elvinia and Linnet kept staring at Nixie and Alfreda, and it was Nixie who broke first. Tears welled in her eyes.
I don't want to be a murderer, Alfreda, but I'm scared. I'm scared to die myself because I hate situations like this.
Nixie.
I honestly don't know what path to take. They're both fraught with danger and risk.
Alfreda stepped closer and then grazed her fingers against Nixie's chin, affectionately.
I will do this if you do it with me.
Are you kidding me? I would have quit 10 years ago had it been for you, Alfreda. I'm crazy about you.
And I, you.
Alfreda held up her hand and then it flashed brightly with magical power. All of the soldiers surrounding her began sparkling brightly, and then they disappeared. Within seconds, it was just Linnet, Elvinia, Nixie, and Alfreda, as well as the Sparkle Guardians. Alfreda approached the group, and Nixie was right beside her, her hand a hair breadth away from Alfreda's.
I don't like working with them, but I suppose against someone like America, we're going to need all the allies we can get. Do you have a plan?
We were hoping you'd have an idea.
Alfreda paused, glanced at the Sparkle Guardians in turn, and then gave a small smile.
I have a plan.
It was a sight unlike anything she could have expected, projected from the very worst nightmares. Linnet and the rather large group of individuals consisting of Nymphians and Sparkle Guardians stopped before the entrance of the reactor facility. There was a large gaping hole where the entrance was, but that was not what made Linnet and the others stop, dead in their tracks. Iron rebar spikes had been jammed into the ground, and the body of the human workers had been shoved savagely upon the tops. Opened, dead eyes stared skyward, and most of the bodies held ajar mouths. Each of the spikes had been made to form 2 rows that ran deeper into the opened and empty lot between the 2 largest reactor buildings. The rows curved around and looped to form an enclosed circle. Marika stood within that circle. A twisted smile was on her face, and she stared right into Linnet's eyes. A pair of brutal iron golems stood behind her, their fingers, palms, knuckles, and feet stained crimson. What was most alarming were the 4 Nymphian bodies that lay in a row right before Marika. The head of R&D had her head completely torn off, and it was missing, while the other members of the R&D team had gashes, wounds, and other signs of swift but violent deaths.
What took you so long? I've been waiting for quite some time.
Linnet's body shook visibly.
You were waiting for us?
Of course I was waiting for you. Do you think I'm new to this villainous game? I set up surveillance in each of the sites, so I watched in real time as you all turned on me, one by one.
Marika pointed to the head of R&D's corpse.
As soon as we all saw that you were determined to stop me from killing innocent humans, these fools tried to convince me to stop. They didn't even try to fight me after I started beating the shit out of their boss. They just watched. Alfreda, did you really think your plan was going to work?
Alfreda averted her eyes, but then she returned to look at the Citadel commander with a heated glare.
We're going to stop you.
Oh, you will certainly try. I honestly live for the rush of battle and brutally breaking my opponent's spirits. Even with your sparkling allies, you're going to fail. Bertha? Bella? Crush them!
Time slid to a screeching halt, and Linnet found herself frozen as everyone else around her moved. Sparkle Guardian Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus ran toward Marika and her giant iron golems. Alfreda stepped back and placed her infinity bag on the ground. With a quick pull, she emptied it onto the ground, and a massive pile of more than 100 statuettes lay in a large pile. Her hands started to glow. Nixie moved beside the Sparkle Guardians, and her vape pen was in her mouth. Elvinia shook Linnet.
What are you doing? Sing!
Linnet breathed in and then started to sing. It was her song of heroines, and she allowed the notes to dance past her skin. Sparkle Guardian Demeter pulled Linnet back as one of the iron golems pushed past the line of Sparkle Guardians. Its iron fist struck where Linnet stood, but when it missed, it spun around and knocked Sparkle Guardian Poseidon through the air. He tumbled back and hit one of the dead, skewered bodies. While it stopped him from going further, he beamed a horrified expression at it. Sparkle Guardian Zeus tossed a lightning bolt at Marika, who cackled as she closed the distance. Nixie blew out a stream of green smoke, and that stopped Marika for a moment. The other iron golem ran into the smoke. Sparkle Guardian Hades struck out at America with glowing fists, and he knocked away her rapier with fiery forearms. The first iron golem stepped back up to Sparkle Guardian Demeter, Linnet, and Elvinia. Elvinia pointed her staff, and the blue orb pulsated. An azure orb shot out and struck the side of the iron golem's shin. When it did, a blue energy creature bubbled off of its metal skin, and its long energy tendrils squeezed at its leg. It did nothing to stop it. Linnet continued to sing as she moved out of the way of another swift whoosh. Sparkle Guardian Demeter slammed her staff against the ground, and thick plant vines burst from the concrete. They started twirling around the iron golem's legs, and this time, the golem fell to the ground. It pulled itself free from the vines moments later with giant strength. One of the golems had Nixie by the leg, and it bent it in the wrong direction. Nixie screamed. Alfreda winced, but then maintained her focus on the pile. Tears welled in her eyes. Sparkle Guardian Zeus hurled another bolt of lightning at the golem's face, but it started to pull at Nixie's leg, as if trying to free it from her. Nixie howled again. A massive horse made of steel slammed into the golem, and it toppled it to the ground. It let go of Nixie, and she formed a little ball on the ground. Bright flashes swirled about, and all of the Sparkle Guardians, Nixie, Elvinia, and Alfreda, glowed with a powerful aura.
What was that?
You are way stronger and faster. Fight!
Elvinia thrust her hips toward America, and a beam coming out from her belt buckle shot out. It nearly clipped her in the face, but America expertly dipped back. A sour expression had covered the Citadel commander's face, and she glared daggers at Linnet. The other golem reached out to grab Linnet by the hair, but more vines shot out and wrapped around its waist. The giant pile of clay soldiers flashed brightly, and then blinding lights smothered the entire area. Everyone stopped. When the light was gone, over 100 clay soldiers huddled around Alfreda.
Go!
Dozens of clay soldiers swarmed the iron golem closest to them, and it toppled over. The others ran toward America and the other iron golem. Linnet was not affected with her magic, and so she couldn't heal herself with it. She could, however, heal others. She ran along with the soldiers and dodged as the other iron golem kicked at the clay warriors. Many shattered, but others surged forward. Linnet slid to the ground under America's rapier, and she rolled closer to the prone Nixie. Clay soldiers surrounded America, as did Sparkle Guardian Hades. America grunted several times, but she swung her sword around in wide arcs. As soon as Linnet was at Nixie's side, she cradled Nixie's head in her lap. Nixie had been crying, and the bones jutted from her skin in 4 points. Nymphian blood pooled at her body.
It hurts so much. Oh, goddess. Please. Oh.
Alfreda made it over to where Linnet had begun singing. Magical green notes appeared in the air, and they splashed into Nixie's grievous wounds. Nixie whimpered as the bones began retracting back into her leg. Nixie reached out, and Alfreda gripped her hands tightly. Soon, Nixie's expression of absolute anguish eased, and she began breathing easier.
Ah!
One of the golems had dug its fingers into Poseidon's stomach, and they were deeper than the second digit. A moment later, the golem picked up Poseidon and slammed him on the ground, hard. Sparkle Guardian Zeus' body began crackling with intense lightning, and they began hovering in the air. A massive lightning bird surrounded the Guardian's body, and a second later, they flew right into the golem's body, with enough force it made the golem roll away about 20 feet. Lightning danced up and down its body, and its eyes zapped out with bolts. Slowly, Sparkle Guardian Zeus stood up upon the chest of the iron golem, looking down at it. It didn't move, and blackened rings were around its eyes. A moment later, Sparkle Guardian Zeus fell upon its chest. Sparkle Guardian Hades was still fighting Marika, and she had shredded his leather coat and uniform to ribbons. Blood dripped down his body. Marika had a black eye and bruises on her face and neck, but she smiled maniacally. Linnet ran over to Sparkle Guardian Poseidon, whose guts were strewn upon his lap. Broken soldiers lay all around the area, and more than half had been destroyed. Even now, the other iron golems smashed clay soldiers, not caring about the vines wrapped around its neck, or that Elvinia was blasting it in the face. Alfreda, Nixie, and Linnet stood over the Sparkle Guardian of the water.
Can you save him?
Linnet licked her lips, and then she winced. She bent down, and then took the head of the man, her mortal enemy, a magical boy, into her lap. The green notes of magic danced on the air, and they splashed into Poseidon's body. His intestines started slithering back into him like snakes, and his body began shaking violently. Still, Linnet sang, and she began caressing his head. Linnet was not a killer. She was not a monster. She was simply someone who was trying to find herself in this crazy world. At least this felt like another step in the right direction. His wounds were gone, and he started breathing easier once more. His eyes were closed, but at least he was alive.
Singer, behind you!
Linnet turned and saw what was coming. A charging Marika with rapier poised. Rather than run or dodge, she merely covered Poseidon with her own body. The point of Marika's rapier pierced her shoulder, and it jutted out from the other side, stopping only a half-inch from impaling Sparkle Guardian Poseidon's skull.
You bitch!
Alfreda threw herself at Marika, but the Citadel commander pulled the blade free from Linnet's back. The pain was worse coming out, and Linnet nearly blacked out. Marika was driven back by more soldiers, and Sparkle Guardian Hades charged after her. The other golem had nearly crushed Elvinia. Alfreda and Nixie helped Linnet to a stand.
You can heal yourself, right?
Linnet simply shook her head.
Can you do something about the other golem? I'll stay here with her.
Yeah. I think I have something that will help.
Nixie moved away while fumbling with one of her cartridges. Linnet leaned heavily on Alfreda, and they watched as the paltry remainder of Alfreda's soldiers did their best against the Iron Golem and Marika. Marika's sword zipped with such speed and force that it cracked and chipped soldiers' faces, while the crushing might of the Iron Golem utterly smashed them. Nixie blew out a mustard yellow vape, and it was haunting to watch. Whenever it touched any of the clay soldiers, they crumbled to dust. When the vape smoke hit the Iron Golem's legs, the metal began to rust and wilt. It crumbled to the ground, which allowed Nixie to blow another cloud into its face. Marika's rapier stabbed Hades' hip, and then she tore the blade free. Sparkle Guardian Hades fell to the ground, and he gripped his gushing wound. In an instant, Marika danced around the clay soldiers and maneuvered to where Linnet and Alfreda stood. Alfreda moved to bar Marika's advance, but the powerful Citadel commander somersaulted over the pair of them. Marika spun in the air and kicked Alfreda right in the face. Alfreda grunted and then went down. In a flash, Marika barreled into Linnet and pinned her to the ground, straddling her as if they were lovers. Marika's rapier tip pressed against Linnet's throat.
Now
With all of her might and the very last bit of magical power she had within her, Linnet screamed. What Marika didn't know was that Linnet had already drawn in a full breath when Marika meant to barrel into her. With expert control, she kept her power and then released it in one final attack. Sonic waves thundered into the spot where Linnet had directed, which was Marika's face. The Citadel commander's eyes and ears started to bleed. Her lip quivered back, and the grip on her rapier uncurled. As soon as Linnet stopped her scream, Marika's body flopped down upon her. Pain engulfed her, and her eyes fluttered closed. A minty chill swirled around Linnet's insides, and her eyes opened wide. Elvinia, Alfreda, Nixie, and Sparkle Guardian Demeter stood over her, and they all smiled as wide as they could.
Yes, the healing leaf worked.
The healing leaf?
Linnet sat up, and a small diamond-shaped leaf fell from where it was stuck on her forehead. Linnet looked around to where the other Sparkle Guardians stood. The original trio stood slightly behind where her fellow Nymphians and the new Sparkle Guardian were. Clay soldiers of those who had remained from the terrible battle were carefully removing people from the iron spikes and placing them with care in long rows. Linnet pushed herself off the ground, and Sparkle Guardian Zeus approached her.
Thank you, little Nymphian. You saved our friend Poseidon.
Yeah. I was practically dead, so, thanks.
That's all you have to say? Thanks?
Actually, there is something else I have to say.
Sparkle Guardian Poseidon whirled around so quickly, and he stared hard at Sparkle Guardian Hades.
Oh my goddess! Are you going to confess your undying love for him?
Slowly, both Hades and Poseidon turned around and stared directly at Elvinia. Zeus started laughing, and Demeter giggled into her hand.
I'm sorry, wait a minute, excuse me, what? Wait, are you? I mean, I'm not judging, but I'm not.
No, I'm not! What the hell, Nymphian? Don't tell me you're into those stupid fanfics.
The what?
Zeus laughed harder. Alfreda, Nixie, and Demeter snickered into their hands. And Elvinia, well, she just beamed a wide smile.
There are like thousands of yaoi fanfics about you all. Many of the best ones are about Poseidon and Hades, and they're written by Pixie
Asahi, 1992.
Wow, you know about the author? She is Pixie, whatever she just said.
Sparkle Guardian Poseidon took a threatening step toward Elvinia.
What?
Elvinia just laughed long and hard. Sparkle Guardian Poseidon pointed his trident toward her.
I'll deal with you later. As for you, Hades,
Poseidon placed a hand on Hades' shoulder.
I want to say this before anything else happens. I'm sorry I was such an asshole about you leaving. I know you want to pursue your PhD and how it's important to you. I support you and believe in you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it a lot.
Now, kiss.
Yes, do it! I love those fanfics.
Sparkle Guardian Poseidon took another step toward Elvinia, but Sparkle Guardian Zeus stepped to block him. They smiled for a moment, but then became quite serious. The change of expression stole the brief delight from the group.
Thank you for helping us save our city, but this can't ever happen again. At least 20 innocent people lost their lives. I realize that you didn't kill anyone here, but at the other facility...
My clay soldiers never kill anyone. The only people we tried to kill were you that one time. But go on.
Okay, fine. But people died here. We, the Sparkle Guardians, are the protectors of this city. There are other magical guardian teams, and they've told us about how brutal some of your people can be. This was an alliance out of necessity, but I want to let you know we're going to stop you.
Even if you saved our lives during that fight, we have a responsibility. The next time we fight will be our last.
Unless we just want to do this now, as a winner takes all.
The clay soldiers all stopped and turned around once Alfreda and Nixie took defensive positions.
Wait! What if we could avoid this? Yes, we Nymphians require Anam Energy, but if we could safely harvest Anam Energy without hurting anyone, would you all allow us to continue?
But could you actually do that?
You didn't die, did you? While we were working with Serene, most of our plans drew Anam Energy from your kind. But no one got hurt.
We will not suffer another leader like that one.
Sparkle Guardian Zeus pointed toward Marika's body.
How do we know that you're not going to get another boss like her?
The issue is that we might. The proposal that Marika sent the board of directors is quite sound with proposals that could lead to more citadels trying these kinds of missions.
You all have a board of directors?
But what if maybe we make it look like plans like this aren't worth it? Elvinia, you're super smart. Could you, do that?
Are you asking me to falsify scientific, arcane data to provide our superiors with misleading results?
Could you?
You bet your homoerotic vest-wearing ass I can.
Okay, but what about your new boss? How would you ensure that you don't get someone nearly as terrible?
A brief silence lingered between the group, and the Nymphians all looked at one another. The board of directors for the company was quite hard to deal with, and they were unpleasant, from what Linnet heard from her family.
Maybe if we could ensure who the boss was, we could ensure only safer techniques would be used. I mean, Elvinia has already worked on technology and stuff to do that, right?
Well, yes. Based on the data I collected from previous missions, I've already developed and designed technology that can safely extract residual Anam energy from people without hindering them in any way.
Ooh, and as for the new commander, I bet you if we all talked about how awesome Alfreda is in our reports, they might consider making her the commander. We could say after the Sparkle Guardians killed Marika, Alfreda stepped up and took command and led us to a victory over the Sparkle Guardians! Yeah?
Me?
Yeah, that's a great idea. And we can even submit a proposal to them with our reports saying that you are qualified, that you want to be our boss, and they would be able to save money on HR expenses for job advertisement, training, higher salaries, and all that junk.
It's true. I don't know about Nymphian companies, but for humans, HR expenses can be expensive.
What's the worst they can say? No? I say we go for it.
Girls, I don't know what to say.
Linnet approached Sparkle Guardian Zeus.
How about this? If we can pull this off and make Alfreda the new commander, can we forge some kind of peaceful resolution? And if not...
We can always have our epic fight later.
Yes, we can.
Very well. We have a ceasefire. For now.
Now that is handled. About those stupid stories.
Elvinia took out her white crystal and smiled. Nixie, Alfreda, and Linnet touched Elvinia's shoulders, and they all started glowing.
Gotta go, bye!
Get back here and face me like a man!
6 months later, Linnet took a deep breath of the autumn air. The leaves of the trees were turning various shades of red, brown, and yellow, and it gave the streets of the city a comforting and lovely atmosphere. Today was Saturday, and the sidewalks were full of people going to and fro. Linnet walked alongside Alfreda and Elvinia. They were in their human appearances, although much more dressy and business formal than normal. That made sense since this was going to be the first joint meeting between themselves and the Sparkle Guardians. After the battle between themselves and Marika, Elvinia had indeed fabricated the data to show negative results, and the board of directors were none too pleased by the failure. The board was about to assign another commander to the Citadel, but Linnet and the others were prepared. They stood together and threatened to quit if Alfreda, who had shown immense leadership during the last battle against the Sparkle Guardians, was not promoted. The negotiations were fierce, but in the end, Alfreda was named interim Citadel commander. Obviously, Elvinia had become the new head of R&D. Alfreda supported the development and distribution of new and safer methods of Anam Energy Collection, which suited the Sparkle Guardians just fine. As for Linnet...
Linnet, can you please go over the schedule with me? What do we have slotted after the joint meeting?
Linnet reached into her satchel and pulled out a crystal ball. She held it in one hand and then scrolled through the interface with one of her fingers.
Let's see. After this meeting, you have a conference call with the district commander until 2:30 p.m., and then you're taking an hour and a half for you and Nixie time. And then from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., we're working on the personal request through HR. Do you want to hear about Monday's schedule?
No, thank you. Can I just skip the conference call with Birdie? Ugh, she's going to ask so many questions.
Linnet smiled and pulled out a file folder from her satchel. The file folder was filled with a significant stack of papers.
I prepared all the talking points gleaned from your correspondence with District Commander Birdie. I've also indexed it all and tabbed them with indicators.
Thank you so much. I love being a Citadel commander, but by the goddess, it's so much more work.
Well, you are the best person for the job. Not only are you super organized, but you also have a badass executive assistant.
Yes, I would be way more stressed without you, Linnet.
Aw, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Linnet, Alfreda, and Elvinia walked down the sidewalk until they finally got to their destination, Anthony's. They walked inside. The restaurant was fairly packed, and there were perhaps a half-dozen servers maneuvering between the tables.
Hey, ladies, over here.
Dana and Frankie, or rather, Sparkle Guardian Demeter and Zeus sat at a large round table toward the back of the restaurant. Several patrons gave Dana weird looks as she yelled over the entire restaurant to get the Nymphians' attention. Linnet grinned and led the way to the table. Dana wore a dark-colored suit jacket, a light pink blouse, and a matching dark gray skirt. Frankie wore a dark blue suit with a light blue shirt and a pink tie. Linnet, Alfreda, and Elvinia took their seats at the table.
I see we're not the only ones taking this meeting seriously.
Well, we had to dress up today because we had a weekend board meeting of our own.
Wait, did you get another promotion?
Oh, not yet. And not anytime soon, I hope. I'm fine with being a project director. I have enough on my plate without having to take on more responsibility.
You know, I still think it's weird not seeing you serve.
Yeah, tell me about it. Jerry asked me when I was coming back to pick up shifts. Luckily, the accounting department at the advertising firm Frankie and I work at pays me well enough that I'll never have to take someone else's drink order again.
Linnet pulled out her crystal ball, and then she checked to see if they had any unread emails.
So, we still have 5 minutes before the meeting starts. Do we know if Tyler is going to make it?
He's on his way. It seems Nixie was giving him the business.
That's my girl. I hope she wasn't too hard on him. After all, he's still an apprentice.
He's a big boy. It'll be good for him to toughen up for the real ballbusters out there. You know, I have to say, it's funny to see how much you've changed, Linnet. You used to be so uncertain and timid.
Yeah, well, I suppose I have come a long way. I still am trying to find myself, but for now, this is a good place.
Tyler, aka Sparkle Guardian Poseidon, entered Anthony's, and despite his sweaty appearance, he had a sort of smug smirk on his face. His smile got broader as he approached the table. He got down and sat between Elvinia and Dana.
Sorry if I smell kinda ripe. That damn slave driver Nixie had me rewire 5 of her freaking rooms. Granted, I'll admit I should have been a little more careful the first time, but the Pixie Garden was my first job.
Don't let Nixie get you down. This is her baby, after all. Her greatest passion. Of course she's going to want the best. Unfortunately, she can't join us today because she's short-staffed, but she sends her regards. By the way, how is Nicholas?
He's well. A little overwhelmed at the moment because in addition to conducting research, he's teaching 3 huge freshman classes and also holding office hours.
I'm sorry, ladies, gentlemen, and traveler.
Frankie grinned a little wider and then gave a respectful nod to Linnet.
We really have to begin the meeting. Alfreda has a booked afternoon and we can't afford to run behind schedule.
Yes, Mom.
And so the meeting began, just as it was supposed to. Linnet listened to Alfreda and Elvinia give their updates, and the Sparkle Guardians all asked questions at appropriate times. A comforting sense of warmth engulfed Linnet's insides, and she smiled. As she had said, Linnet had come a long way. She was still finding herself, But for now, this was a good place. The end.